Hi, I'm Angela Clark with Threadwaggle Quilting, and today I want to talk to you about how you can stop quilting for the day and then start quilting tomorrow, next week, whenever you have time. So I want you to be able to completely shut your systems down and walk away from them, and then come back in later and resume your sewing session. So today I have finished a row. I'm on row 2 or zone 2 of this quilt, and tomorrow morning I'm going to want to start up with zone 3. So I'm going to come up and you're going to see that I've sewn my zone 2, and I'm at the place where I can mark the next zone. So I'm going to let Quilt Path go ahead and do that and tap the finish zone, say yes, I really have completed that zone, and the long arm is going to move towards me so that I can put my tape down and mark the next zone. So I'm going to put my tape underneath my hopping foot and punch through the tape. Okay, and then I'm going to just hit cancel. And it's going to say, do you want me to resume? Yes, I'm going to go ahead and resume to the placement screen, and I'm going to go ahead and just close out of Quilt Path. Now, when we hit sew in zones earlier, we saved that zone file. So that's what we're going to be using tomorrow, or in a few minutes when I pretend like it's tomorrow, right, to start our quilt up. But I'm going to go ahead and completely close down Quilt Path for you. So it's the next day. It's whenever I need to restart, right? After the storm has moved through, whatever I need to do. So I'm going to move my long arm to the center of my table so that I can get the safety movement. Okay. And it's done its safety movement. So it's going to open up the program for me. And then the next thing it's going to do is come into the home screen. So I was doing a pantograph earlier. I want to do a pantograph again. And I need to mark my safe area again. So I'm going to go way out to the top left and mark my top left, and then way out near the clamps on the bottom right and mark my bottom right. Okay. And I'm going to get this kind of centered back in so you can see the screen again. Okay. So now I'm at the Power Pano setup screen. I do not need to bring the pantograph that I saved up into the screen. All I need to do is tell Quilt Path I already have a zone file, and I do that by tapping this button up here that says Resume Zone Sewing Session. So I'm going to tap on that green button. I'm going to choose the video, or the video.zpf, which is what I named this when I saved it. And it can sometimes give you some weird messages. This one is telling me that the safe area is not big enough, and that is not true. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell it, say yes, it is big enough, and it's actually fine. I'm not sure why I got that message. So we're just going to play with this for a second and see if it'll set for us. But I think it's going to be okay because all we did was restart Quilt Path. So the next thing I'm going to do is go down to zone 3 because I had quilted zone 2, right? And I would have quilted zone 2 marked with my tape. Then I would have forwarded my quilt, sewn the 2 sides down, and left for the day. That way I'm ready to start when I come back in the next day. So I will need to move the quilt real quick because I have not done that yet. But I want to go to zone 3, which I can either do with the numbers down here, or I can tap where zone 3 should be on the screen, either way, and then say okay. And it asks me if I'd like to be guided in moving the fabric. No, because Quilt Path has no idea where it was. So I'm going to say no, right? And then I am going to go ahead and forward my quilt back. Right, so I'm going to loosen the front and the back, roll it up so it's about 10 inches. My tape is about 10 inches back, which looks about right. Move this back down. And I'm going to sew the 2 sides down. I'm going to cheat real quick because this is not tight. That's part of my problem I'm having right now. There we go, now it is. I'm going to sew the right side down and then the left side. Needle up, needle down, get my thread to the top. Sew my edge down. Needle down, needle up. Find a pair of scissors again. And then I'm going to clamp the right side of my quilt, and I'll do the same thing on the left side of my quilt. I'm going to walk over with my scissors. Needle down, needle up. Get my bottom thread, needle down, back tack, go backwards. Oops, and I missed a little bit there, so I'm definitely going to sew that down. I don't want my hopping foot to catch that. I'm going to go ahead and put my clamps on because it is easier to maneuver your long arm and get your thread up if you're not pulling against air on the side of your quilt. So having the resistance of the clamp is good when you're trying to bring your thread up on the edge. Okay, so I've marked my quilt. I would make sure everything is nice and smooth and it looks like it needs to. And then the next thing I need to do is bring my long arm back over to where my point is that I need to mark. Tell it that's my center point. Whoops, I didn't mark it. I didn't go back quite far enough. Not a big deal. I'm just gonna put it back a little farther, right? So that out of safe area, the reason it is out of safe area is because the bottom of my zone is outside of the red safe area line. So there's a red line on the bottom that shows your safe area. The green line is your box, and you can't see the green line back here, down here. That's all that means in this case. So I'm gonna move it back a little bit farther and say that's where it needs to be set. Then I just start sewing again. I'm ready to go and sew the next zone and keep going. So I really want you to not leave your long arms on overnight. I know there are people that are doing that. Version 5 of Quilt Path has a really easy way for you to resume your sewing sessions. So there's really not a reason to leave your long arms on until you come back to the session. It is designed to handle it for you, so let it handle it for you, okay? If you've liked our videos, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, consider subscribing to our channel and sharing videos. Post comments because we love seeing your comments on the videos. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.